I sit in my parents' living room, surrounded by medical documents scattered across the coffee table like fallen leaves. My mother's words linger in the air, heavy and sharp. Edward needs a kidney transplant. The doctors emphasize urgency. Mom's voice wavers as she shuffles through papers bearing hospital letterheads. The procedure must be done in Guatemala, she explains. The specialists there employ a novel approach for cases like his. My brother slouches in the recliner opposite me, his face pale. He hasn't spoken much since I arrived, offering only occasional nods as Mom outlines his supposed kidney failure. I pick up one of the documents, scanning for specifics. Something feels off. The letterhead is slightly blurry, and the doctor's credentials don't match any I've found in preliminary research. The medical terminology appears correct, yet paragraph spacing is inconsistent. The dialysis isn't working anymore, Mom continues, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. His body is rejecting the treatment, she says, quoting the doctor. Without a family donor, he could face serious consequences within the month. She leaves the thought unfinished, but the weight of it hangs in the room. We'd need to leave in 3 weeks, she adds, producing another folder. The coordinator claims everything can be arranged quickly since it's an emergency. My chest tightens. My hands tremble as I set the paper down. I don't understand why this has to be in Guatemala, I say cautiously. Johns Hopkins is just a 2-hour drive. They have one of the best transplant centers in the country. Mom waves her hand dismissively. American doctors are too conservative. They'd keep him on dialysis until it's too late. This clinic has advanced treatments. Only these doctors understand late-stage kidney disease, Greta. Edward needs you. I glance at my brother. His skin isn't gray as I've read kidney patients often appear. For someone supposedly on dialysis 3 times a week, he looks normal, just thinner and more fatigued than usual. A cold sweat breaks across my forehead. My heart pounds violently against my ribs. I try to steady my breathing, which comes in shallow bursts. I'll need time to think about this, I manage. Edward speaks for the first time, his voice stronger than expected. There isn't much time, sis. They need an answer this week. The walls feel like they're closing in. I grab my purse and stand, steadying myself against the sofa arm. I'll call you tomorrow, I promise, already moving toward the door. I drive home in silence, my mind racing through memories. Edward borrowing $20 as a teenager, promising to pay it back by Friday. Then $50 the next week, then $100 for some emergency, money I never got back. I remember building forts together, riding bikes for popsicles on hot summer days, him teaching me to throw a baseball when I was 7. Then came the casino trips with his friends. The late-night calls asking me to cover his rent the time he maxed out my credit card. Mom always defended him. He's going through a rough patch. Family helps family. I grip the steering wheel tighter. Something doesn't add up. The diagnosis papers, the overseas clinic, the rushed timeline. My accountant's mind, trained to spot discrepancies, is signaling alarms. Arriving at my apartment, I finally exhale. Everything here is orderly. Simple furniture, clean countertops, bookshelves arranged by subject and author. Nothing like the chaotic piles and unwashed dishes at my parents' house. I slip off my shoes and pour a glass of water, standing by the window as the city darkens with dusk. What if Edward is truly ill? Could I live with myself if something happened because I hesitated? But what if he isn't? What if this is another scheme, larger and riskier than anything before? I pick up my phone and call my mother. I need time to understand kidney donation fully before making any decisions. I tell her this, keeping my voice steady. Her reply is immediate and sharp. Every day you delay could cost Edward his life. Do you want that on your conscience? I close my eyes, feeling the familiar weight of guilt settle on me. I'll think about the donation, I say. But I need to review his official medical records. No copies, only originals. And I want to speak to his doctor directly. You've always been selfish, she snaps. Her voice suddenly cold. After everything we've done for you. Edward needs this, Greta. He's your brother. After the call, I stand by the window watching the sunset paint the sky in oranges and purples. For the first time, I allow myself to face the truth I've been avoiding. My health, finances, and body are at risk. And I am alone, facing the very people who should protect me. A flock of birds wheels across the darkening sky, moving in unison before settling in a nearby tree. I need to be certain, I whisper, feeling the first stirrings of determination. The next morning at Pearson Financial, I see Rachel in the office kitchen. We've worked together for 3 years, sharing lunches and occasional happy hours. She notices my face immediately. What's wrong? You look exhausted. I hesitate, then let the words out. My brother needs a kidney transplant. At least that's what my parents say, I add. Rachel's eyes widen. That's serious? What hospital is he at? That's the thing. I lower my voice. They want me to fly to Guatemala for the surgery. They claim the treatment isn't available here. Rachel sets down her coffee. That doesn't sound right. My cousin donated a kidney last year to her husband. There's a full process: psychological evaluation, tissue matching, board approval. They showed me some documents, but something felt off, I confess. If it feels off, you need to verify it, Rachel says firmly. This isn't like lending someone money, Greta. This is your body. Her words settle heavily, sending ripples of understanding through me. For the first time since yesterday, I feel less isolated. What would you do? I ask quietly. Verify everything, she answers without pause. If they're being honest, the facts will prove it. She doesn't finish the thought, but she doesn't have to. As I walk back to my desk, a quiet decision forms in my mind. I need to understand kidney disease, really understand it. By Thursday, I spread Edward's medical documents across my dining table like a deck of cards. My apartment suddenly feels smaller, the air tighter with each troubling discovery. For 3 days since the last family meeting, I've been studying kidney disease transplant procedures and Guatemalan medical facilities between work shifts. Nothing adds up. The letterhead on Dr. Ernesto Montoya's papers looks pixelated when zoomed in. His credentials claim affiliation with the Guatemalan Association of Nephrology Specialists, an organization that, according to my searches, doesn't exist. The supposed Hospital Internacional de Especialidades Renales brings up no results online, no website, no reviews, no trace at all. I open my online banking app and start tracing past transactions. Last year, Mom asked me to help cover Edward's emergency appendectomy, $2,000 wired directly to her account. 6 months earlier, she said he'd had surgical complications, and I sent another $500 each time. I transferred the money without hesitation. Now, as I scroll through my history, my hand trembles. Every major withdrawal aligns perfectly with Mom's desperate calls about Edward's latest medical crisis. My phone buzzes. A message from Mom. Don't forget to request your vacation days at work. Surgery date confirmed for October 15th. A cold wave spreads through me. I've become a walking ATM for my brother's problems, and now they want a kidney too. An idea takes shape. I call our family's health insurance provider. Hello, this is Greta Reynolds. I'm calling about my brother, Edward Reynolds. I need details about his recent dialysis treatments. I read Edward's policy number from the old copy Mom gave me years ago. One moment while I check. The representative says, typing in the background. Ms. Reynolds, I'm not finding any dialysis treatments for Edward. The last claim we processed was a routine physical back in February. My breath catches. What about kidney specialist visits or lab work related to kidney function? Nothing like that appears in our records. Ma'am, when I hang up, I sit motionless at my kitchen table, staring at the wall. Their deception unfolds in my mind like a dark ocean, deep, deliberate, and years in the making. With trembling hands, I search my email archive for messages from Mom. Words like Edward, emergency, and hospital fill the screen with years of panicked requests. Then one message stands out, an email from Mom to Edward, one where I was accidentally copied. Greta always comes through. Just tell her it's for medical bills again. She never asked too many questions. I read it 3 times, the words burning into me. They've been discussing me like a resource to exploit, not a daughter, not a sister. I open a new spreadsheet and begin compiling data. Every supposed medical emergency, each bank transfer, and Edward's gambling activity pulled from his social media. Posts. The pattern becomes unmistakable and sickening. His casino trips and poker tournaments always occur just days before. Mom's frantic pleas for help, for hours. I build my case, screenshots, bank records, medical inconsistencies, layer by layer, truth replacing trust. The Edward I once knew, my caring older brother who taught me to ride a bike and protected me from bullies, fades. With every new piece of evidence I uncover, inside his place stands a stranger who views me as nothing, more than a way out of his financial troubles. While scrolling through a Facebook message thread, I find Edward admitting he owes someone named Marco $75,000, with only 2 months to repay. I glance at the calendar. 3 weeks left. The harsh tone in Marco's replies makes my stomach twist. You better have my money, Eddie, no more delays. You know what happens next. The words hit me like a physical shock. They're not just deceitful, they're desperate. And desperate people are dangerous. My phone rings again. It's Mom. Greta, the coordinator needs your passport and blood type today. There's another patient waiting for the surgery slot if we don't confirm. I'll send it tomorrow, I reply, my voice calm despite the chaos inside. This can't wait, she insists. Edward's condition is getting worse. I check Edward's Instagram story from an hour ago, a selfie at a sports bar. Beer in hand, captioned, pre-game rituals with the boys. His face looks healthy, his smile easy. I need to find my passport first, I say. It's in storage, Mom sighs impatiently. You've always been careless with important papers. I'll have Edward stop by tomorrow to help. Beneath her helpful tone, a quiet threat lingers. They're not letting me escape. After ending the call, I gather every piece of evidence into a folder, realizing how exposed I really am. This isn't about medical need anymore. They're planning to sell my kidney to cover Edward's debts. The next morning at work, I spot Rachel in the break room and quietly call her over. I know what's really happening with my brother, I whisper, showing her the forged medical files. Her eyes widen. Greta, this is criminal. They're trying to traffic your organs. I know, I say, the truth still numbing even as I admit it. But they're my family. What can I do? Rachel sets her mug down firmly. My cousin's friend is a nephrologist at Memorial, Dr. Patricia Vance. She can confirm if these are fake and give you official proof. For the first time in days, I feel a flicker of hope. Can you connect us? She nods, already dialing her phone. And Greta, if you need somewhere safe, my spare room's open. Family doesn't do this to family. An hour later, I have an appointment with Dr. Vance for tomorrow and a growing file of evidence. I'm no longer suspicious. I'm preparing for battle. As I organize my documents, a text pops up from Edward. Found a great airfare deal. Need to book today. Meeting you at 6 to get your passport and finish paperwork. I study his message carefully, seeing the truth behind the words. Not concern, but panic. Not love, but exploitation. The illusion has shattered. Now I see everything clearly. I need to record everything, I murmur, creating a new laptop folder labeled Evidence. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel something new, clarity. They underestimated me, assumed I'd obey, trusted my affection to blind me. But facts don't lie. And facts are what I know best. That Sunday, I arrive at my parents' house early afternoon. My chest tight. Not from the casserole dish I'm carrying, but from what's coming. Mom greets me with a too bright smile and a hug that feels rehearsed. You brought food? How thoughtful. She takes the dish from my hands. Edward has been asking when you'll visit again. I follow her into the kitchen, observing as she sets the table for 3. The familiar scent of her lemon furniture polish mixes with something sharper, perhaps anxiety, or maybe guilt. I borrowed your tablet last time I was here, I say, placing my purse on the counter. I left mine at the office. Need to check a few work emails before dinner, if that's all right? Of course, dear. It's charging in my bedroom, she replies. Once alone in her room, I act quickly. The iPad unlocks easily. Her predictable password, my birthday. Mom has never been careful with security. I open her email app, heart racing as I scan for anything regarding Edward's treatment. 3rd email down. Repayment schedule for procedure. I open it. Mrs. Winters. We must receive initial payment before scheduling kidney procurement. The remaining balance will be due immediately after successful extraction and transplant. Our team in Guatemala requires confirmation within 14 days. My stomach twists. Procurement, extraction. These aren't medical terms. They sound transactional. I photograph the screen with my phone and open the attached document. A draft contract, poorly formatted letterhead jumps out at me. Certain phrases stand out. Payment of $75,000 upon successful kidney extraction. Donor liability waiver. No recourse after procedure. No recourse after procedure. No recourse. I am the donor. The kidney is mine. The payment matches exactly what Edward owes his gambling creditors. I scroll through more emails documenting everything. One message from Mom to someone called Coordinator Martinez makes my breath catch. Greta is dutiful. Just tell her Edward will die and she'll sign whatever we need. My name in my mother's mouth, not as her daughter, but as a solution to Edward's problems. My body as currency for his debts. I check her banking app. Transfers to this coordinator match exactly what Edward lost in casinos over 6 months. Not medical fees, not treatment costs, gambling debts. A strange calm settles over me for the first time since this nightmare began. The anxiety in my chest sharpens into something harder. Certainty. Edward's voice calls from the living room. Is Sarah here yet? I'm starving. I quickly close the apps, ensuring nothing appears touched, and slip my phone into my pocket. The evidence is secure. Returning to the kitchen, the casserole dish is warming in the oven. Sorry about that, I say. Work never stops. Edward sits at the table. A beer, already half empty, rests beside his plate. His skin glows with health, nothing like the pallor Mom described. He wears a new shirt and an expensive watch. For someone supposedly near death, he looks remarkably strong. I set the casserole on the table. Made your favorite, Edward. Extra salt, just how you like it. Mom freezes, fork midair. Greta, you know Edward can't have salt with his condition. Can't he? I say, serving myself and watching as Edward takes a generous portion. Funny, I continue. I've been studying kidney disease. Dialysis patients follow strict diets, no alcohol, limited salt, restricted fluids. Edward swigs his beer. My case is different. The Guatemalan doctors have me on special medications. What medications? I ask. You wouldn't understand the names, he says, shoveling food into his mouth. Try me. I've been reviewing kidney disease protocols all week, I reply. Mom interrupts. Greta, please. This isn't dinner conversation. When is your next dialysis appointment, Edward? I ignore her question. Edward hesitates. Tuesday, where? I press. That clinic on Jefferson? Jefferson Street was closed for construction last month. Which dialysis center specifically? Edward slams his fork down. What is this, an interrogation? I'm sick, Greta. I need your help, not your questions. That's interesting, I say, setting down my glass. Because someone with end-stage kidney failure wouldn't eat like this, wouldn't drink alcohol, and would know their medications and dialysis schedule by heart. Mom's face pales. Edward's skin flushes red. You were always too nosy, he snarls. And you were always a terrible liar, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel. I know what you're planning, and it ends now. Mom reaches for my hand. I pull away. Edward will die without your help, she pleads, her voice shaking. Edward isn't dying, I respond. He's in debt. And you were willing to sell my kidney to cover his gambling. Edward stands abruptly. His chair topples backward. You don't understand what I'm facing. These people will kill me if I don't pay. So your solution was to risk my life? The calmness in my tone surprises even me. Mom begins to cry. The familiar performance that always worked. We're family, Greta. Family helps family. Family doesn't traffic organs, I say, standing. This conversation is over. So is your scheme. Edward moves toward me, face contorted. You can't just walk away from this. I already have, I reply. And if either of you contacts me again, the police will be my next call. I drive straight to Memorial Hospital, hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. Dr. Vance meets me in the cafeteria, her white coat pristine against the institutional green walls. I brought everything, I say, pulling out my phone and copies of the documents I've collected. Emails, contract drafts, fake medical records. She reviews them carefully, her expression growing more serious with every swipe. Finally, she looks up. These documents are completely fabricated, she says. This isn't kidney disease. The terminology is wrong. The treatment protocol makes no sense. And this contract? She shakes her head. This is attempted organ trafficking, plain and simple. Rachel slides into the seat beside me, a reassuring hand on my shoulder. What happened when you confronted them? Edward exploded. Mom cried. The usual tactics, just higher stakes. You were right to question them, Rachel says firmly. This is criminal, Dr. Vance nods. I can document everything officially. Schemes like this are unfortunately more common than people realize. A weight lifts from my chest. After days of doubt, I feel vindicated. I need to stop them completely, I say, words feeling like a promise. They're desperate enough to try something else. We'll help you, Dr. Vance assures me. You're not alone anymore. Looking at these two women, one familiar, one new, I believe her. For the first time since opening the suspicious medical documents, I feel something unexpected. Strength. I am not a solution to my brother's problems. I am not a spare part. I am whole and I will remain that way. 2 days later, I step into the police station, leather portfolio clutched to my chest like armor. The familiar scent of industrial cleaner and stale coffee fills the air. Detective Cooper waves me toward a small conference room. "Miss Reynolds," he says, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming in today." He is younger than I expected, perhaps early 40s, salt and pepper hair, eyes that miss nothing. He pulls out a chair for me at a table scattered with manila folders. "I've gone through all the materials you provided," he says, tapping a thick folder on the desk. The fake medical reports, the email threads, the financial statements. This is a clear case of organ trafficking. The words hang in the air. Organ trafficking, not a family emergency, not a brother's plea. A federal offense with my kidney as the target. What happens now? I ask, my voice steadier than expected. Detective Cooper leans forward. "We build a case. Your brother and mother won't just face fraud allegations. This is human trafficking, conspiracy, attempted bodily harm. The reality sinks in. My own family and facing federal prison. I should warn you," he adds, "things may get worse before they improve. Once they realize you're backing away, they'll likely increase their pressure." I open my folder and slide out a notepad filled with detailed notes. I've documented every exchange since Edward's supposed diagnosis. Calls, texts, emails. Cooper raises an eyebrow. "Most people in your position are too emotional to think this clearly." "I'm an accountant," I reply. "Documentation is second nature." He nods and takes out a small recorder. "From now on, record every interaction. We need their own words as proof." "What about the person in Guatemala, the coordinator?" I ask. "We're already coordinating with the FBI's Human Trafficking Division to identify them," he replies. "These networks rarely stop at one victim. They often target several people at once." The thought chills me. I may not be their only target. "For now," Cooper says, "keep your distance but stay cooperative. Raise concerns about the surgery, but don't reveal what you know." "We need full evidence of their plan," I nod. "I can do that." "Miss Reynolds," he continues gently, "many people want immediate confrontation, the satisfaction of exposing betrayal. But true justice comes from legal action. That takes patience." I think back to the years of so-called emergencies, the endless requests that emptied my savings, the manipulation disguised as family concern. "I'm done reacting emotionally," I tell him. "I just want this to stop. For the next hour, we map out a plan. I'll maintain limited contact, mention health worries about the operation, and gather more proof of their motives." Detective Cooper shows me how to discreetly use my phone to record conversations and clarifies what types of statements would strengthen the case. Back in my apartment, I build a detailed timeline on my laptop. Every transaction, every suspicious claim, every deceptive move, logged by date. The spreadsheet grows longer, each entry turning betrayal into evidence. Rachel calls to check in. "How did it go with the detective?" "He's taking it seriously. We're putting a case together." "Good," she says. "I reviewed those bank statements you sent. There's a pattern in the wire transfers. It could help trace where the money's going." I feel a wave of gratitude. "You don't have to do this," she laughs lightly. "What are friends for if not helping stop illegal organ schemes?" Her humor breaks the tension, and I find myself smiling for the first time in days. Later that evening, Dr. Vance emails her official report on Edward's medical records. Her hospital letterhead contrasts sharply with the poor quality forgeries my family used. Her medical assessment is precise and conclusive. No evidence of kidney disease or medical necessity for transplant. I add it to my growing evidence file. Moments later, my phone buzzes. A message from my mother. "The coordinator needs your blood type by tomorrow. Call me." I stare at the text, realizing coordinator means organ broker. I type carefully, "I'll call tomorrow." Working late tonight, setting the phone down, I look at the wall of documents in my living room. Financial files, medical records, recordings. Detective Cooper's card. For the first time since this began, I feel something different. Not fear, not guilt, but focus. They've spent years treating me as something to use. Now, I've become something they didn't expect. A threat. My phone buzzes again. Mother. Edward's condition is worsening. We can't afford delays. Death's another lie. Another tactic to pressure me. I close my eyes and picture the case coming together piece by piece, carefully, methodically. Not only for my protection, but for accountability. Justice. The path forward is clear. On Thursday, after gathering additional evidence, I organized the documents into 3 neat stacks on Detective Cooper's desk. The police station buzzes with activity, yet in this small interview room, our attention is unwavering. Everything's here, I say. Tapping the first folder. Bank statements that match Edward's gambling losses. Emails between my mother and the so-called coordinator. The falsified medical records. Detective Cooper nods, his seasoned face grave as he reviews the files. At 52, he has the steady composure of someone who has witnessed countless family betrayals. Dr. Vance's report is thorough. Examining the medical records, she confirms that the falsified kidney disease documentation will hold up in court. Is this sufficient? I ask, the question gnawing at me for days. Cooper closes the folder carefully. The FBI Human Trafficking Unit is ready to coordinate, he says. They've seen cases like this, families desperate enough to sell relatives' organs. I exhale, shoulders relaxing slightly. When will action be taken? I ask. 48 hours to finalize paperwork and coordinate with federal authorities, he replies, looking directly at me. Can you maintain the facade until then? I nod, recalling the past 2 weeks of pretending to research kidney donation while secretly building the case. 2 more days are manageable. Cooper's phone vibrates. He checks it, expression unchanged. The prosecutor wants to meet tomorrow morning. Your evidence is solid. I gather my purse, reviewing my next moves mentally. Dr. Vance had assured me yesterday. This case is ironclad. They won't escape it. Just maintain normal contact, Cooper advises as I rise. Don't give them any reason to suspect. Driving home, my mind calculates timelines and contingencies. Preparation is nearly complete. Legal documents ready, medical evidence secured, law enforcement engaged. No victories yet, only the setup for a permanent intervention. My phone rings. Mom's name lights the dashboard. I breathe before answering. Greta, we need to discuss travel arrangements, she says immediately. The coordinator called. I'm driving. Can this wait until I get home? No, she says sharply. Tickets are purchased. One way to Guatemala City, leaving Sunday morning. My grip tightens on the steering wheel. Sunday, 3 days away, earlier than Cooper's planned timeline. One way? I ask, voice neutral despite rising alarm. Her tone softens artificially. Edward got another call from creditors. They're threatening violence if payment is delayed again. My stomach knots. This isn't just about my kidney. They may try to force me onto that plane. We need your passport tomorrow for visa processing. I'll stop by after work, she continues. Once the call ends, I pull into a grocery parking lot, hands shaking, and call Detective Cooper. They've accelerated the timeline, I say quietly. They bought one-way tickets for Sunday morning. This changes everything, he responds calmly, professionally. Come to the station now. We must adapt. 40 minutes later, I sit across from Cooper and Dr. Vance. The tone has shifted. Methodical preparation is now urgent action. We can't wait 48 hours, Cooper says, typing rapidly. I'm expediting the warrants for tonight. Dr. Vance places a hand on my arm. Are you all right? This must be overwhelming. I'm fine, I reply, realizing the truth in my words. The initial shock of betrayal has become sharp strategic focus. What about tomorrow? My mother wants my passport. Cooper looks up. By morning, we'll be ready. When she arrives, intervention will occur. The judge has signed the emergency restraining orders. We have everything we need. It's time to end this. Dr. Vance nods, quiet confidence in her expression. You've done everything right, Greta. Tomorrow, this nightmare ends. Driving home in the fading evening light, I recognize the transformation within myself. The panicked daughter in my parents' living room has been replaced by someone calm, strategic, and resolute. The woman who once avoided confrontation now moves toward it with evidence and allies by her side. My phone vibrates, a message from Rachel. How did it go with Cooper? I reply, they're coming for my passport tomorrow. Police will be there. For the first time in weeks, I feel some control. Everything is set. The authorities are in position. By tomorrow, my family will answer for their betrayal. The final showdown is near and I am prepared. The next evening, a harsh knock jerks me awake. It's almost 8. I wasn't expecting anyone. Looking through the peephole, my stomach drops. Edward and Mom are in the hallway, their faces taut with urgency. When I open the door, they push past without waiting. "We need your passport. Now." Edward's voice is different, harder, more urgent than I've heard before. Mom slings her oversized purse onto the coffee table. Magazines scatter across the floor. The coordinator called again. He needs the last payment today or he'll give the surgery slot to someone else. I step back, keeping distance. I thought we had until Sunday. Edward paces, running his hands through messy hair. Things changed. The doctor can only do it tomorrow. We must be on a plane tonight. Tonight? You told me Sunday on the phone. My voice rises despite my effort to remain calm. That's impossible. I have work, appointments. Your brother will die if we don't do this now. Mom's voice cuts through. Is your job more important than Edward's life? Edward stops and advances toward me. He's 6 inches taller and suddenly looms in a way that feels threatening. My creditors gave me 24 hours. 24 hours, Greta, or there will be consequences. His fingers tense at his sides. Serious consequences. A chill goes through me. This is no longer only about the staged kidney illness. We're not leaving without your passport and your signature on these consent forms. He pulls crumpled papers from his back pocket. One way or another, you're coming tonight. Mom nods decisively. After everything we've done for you, all the sacrifices. The dance lessons, the college tuition. This is the one time Edward truly needs you. Her hands tremble as she unzips her purse and produces airline tickets. The flight leaves at midnight. We must be at the airport in 3 hours. Edward steps in front of the door, blocking my exit. Where's your passport? Get it now, Anna. My heart pounds. The practiced phrases from Detective Cooper disappear from my mind. Edward has never been physically intimidating before, but something in his gaze shows he's beyond reason. Okay, I say, lifting my hand slightly. Let me get it from my safe. It's in the bedroom closet. Mom exhales with relief. Good girl. I knew you'd cooperate. Edward follows a few steps behind as I move toward the bedroom. Hurry up. We don't have all night. I leave the bedroom door ajar. Closing it would only raise suspicion. From the living room, I hear Mom whispering into her phone, Yes, we have her. Getting the passport now. Yes, she's cooperating. We'll meet you at the terminal. My fingers shake as I crouch by the small safe tucked in the closet. Edward stands in the doorway, watching my every move. While I pretend to dial the combination, I slip my phone from my pocket with the other hand and send our prearranged emergency code to Detective Cooper. Red kidney now. Edward steps into the room and demands, What's taking so long? I slip the phone back into my pocket. The combination is jammed. Just give me a second. We don't have a second. Edward snaps, kicking my laundry hamper so it crashes against the wall. From the living room, Mom calls out, The coordinator says we need to send the first half of the payment before boarding. Did you get her passport yet? Working on it. Edward shouts back, frustration tightening his voice. I stand slowly, facing my brother. So where exactly are we flying to? You never actually mentioned. Does it matter? He says flatly. Some clinic in Guatemala? They've got all the paperwork ready. And this coordinator, he'll meet us there? Edward's eyes narrow. Why all the questions now? I just want to understand the plan, I reply, keeping my tone steady. If I'm giving up a kidney, I think I deserve the details. Mom appears in the doorway, her phone still in hand. The driver will be here in 30 minutes. We need to be packed and ready. Driver? I ask, what driver? The coordinator arranged everything, she says impatiently. Now hurry up with that passport, Greta. I glance at my phone. Still no reply from Cooper. I need to buy more time. What about after the surgery? I ask. Who's going to handle post-op care? Edward's patience snaps. He grabs my arm, his fingers digging into my skin. There's no time for this. Where's the passport? I yank away, heart pounding. I'm not letting you risk my life just to sell my kidney. The words hang between us like smoke. Mom freezes, color draining from her face. What are you saying? She whispers, but her eyes give her away. I've seen the emails to the coordinator, I say, my voice growing stronger. I know about Edward's gambling debts. This isn't about kidney disease at all. The police have been notified. They know everything. Edward lunges unexpectedly. I stumble back, hitting the wall just as his fist smashes the drywall beside my head. You stupid, interfering... His face twists in fury. We're leaving now, whether you like it or not. Mom rushes in, frantically grabbing items from my dresser. Get her purse and ID, she says. We'll explain everything on the plane, Greta. You don't understand what's at stake. Edward seizes my wrist, trying to drag me toward the door. I struggle, planting my feet. Let go of me! I shout, louder than I intend, hoping the neighbors hear. You've always been selfish, he spits. 1 kidney, that's all we needed. Do you have any idea what they'll do to me if I don't pay? In the distance, I hear sirens. Relief rushes through me as Edward's grip tightens painfully. What did you do? Mom demands, eyes wide as the sound grows louder. Greta, what did you do? Edward's expression changes, realization dawning. You called the cops? On your own family? The sirens wail closer, unmistakably nearing the building. Edward releases me and rushes to the window, yanking the curtain aside. We have to go, he says, panic overtaking his anger. Now! Mom stands frozen, clutching my hairbrush and wallet. But the coordinator, forget him. The police are coming. I straighten, feeling an unexpected calm. It's too late. They know everything, the fake medical forms, the wire transfers, the organ trafficking scheme. The sirens stop directly outside. Car doors slam. Footsteps thunder up the stairs. Edward turns to me, his face a storm of fear and betrayal. For an instant, I see the brother who once built forts with me, who taught me to throw a baseball. Then his expression hardens into something cold and unfamiliar. This isn't over, he whispers. Police sirens echo through the walls as I back away. The pounding of boots grows louder. Mom clutches her purse, eyes darting between me and the door. What have you done? She hisses, the door bursts open. Detective Cooper enters first, weapon drawn, followed by 3 officers and a woman in an FBI windbreaker. Police! Everyone stay where you are, Cooper commands, his voice filling the small apartment. Edward bolts toward my room, aiming for the fire escape. But 2 officers tackle him before he makes it halfway. They restrain him as he struggles and shouts. Get off me! This is a family matter, Edward yells, his face pressed into the beige carpet. Mother collapses onto the sofa, shoulders heaving with exaggerated sobs. There's been a terrible misunderstanding, she cries, tears streaming down her powdered cheeks. We were only trying to save Edward's life. Our son is dying. Detective Cooper holsters his weapon and nods toward the FBI agent stepping forward. She is compact, efficient, with short-cropped hair and sharp eyes. Marjorie Winters? I'm Special Agent Morales with the FBI Human Trafficking Division. We have a warrant for your arrest. Mother's sobs stop abruptly. Human trafficking? That's absurd. This is about saving my son's life. I open my laptop calmly despite the chaos. Detective Cooper, these are the emails between my mother and someone called the coordinator. They discuss payments and transportation arrangements to Guatemala for kidney procurement. Cooper takes the laptop, scanning the emails while the FBI agent watches. These match the records we obtained from their internet provider. Private communications, he notes, Mother protests sharply. You had no right. We had every right with a judge's warrant. Cooper replies steadily. The officers lift Edward to his feet and secure handcuffs. Rage colors his face, but beneath it I see a trapped frustration. This is ridiculous, Edward mutters. Greta, tell them this is a misunderstanding. A knock at the door interrupts him. Dr. Vance enters, carrying a medical bag and folder. Relief washes over me. Dr. Patricia Vance. She introduces herself to the officers. I've reviewed all supposed medical documentation for Edward Winters. They are fraudulent, using terminology no legitimate nephrologist would, and describing symptoms inconsistent with kidney disease. Mother rises, hands trembling. Who are you to question our doctors? You haven't examined Edward. Exactly, Dr. Vance replies. No doctor has examined Edward for kidney disease because he doesn't have it. These are his actual medical records from County General obtained legally. His kidneys are perfectly healthy. Edward lunges forward despite the handcuffs, fury contorting his face. I told you she was too smart for this. He yells at Mother. I told you she'd figure it out. The room goes silent. Mother's face pales as she realizes Edward's words. Agent Morales steps forward, reading from a card. Marjorie Winters, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit human trafficking, attempted kidnapping, fraud, and criminal solicitation. You have the right to remain silent. As the Miranda warning continues, I study my mother. For the first time, I see her without pretense, calculating, cold, weighing her options. Cooper turns to me. Your documentation made this possible, Greta. The thorough evidence gave us what we needed for these warrants. The FBI agent handcuffs my mother. She glares at me. After everything I've sacrificed for this family, this is how you repay maternal love? That wasn't love, I reply steady. Love doesn't sell someone's organs to cover gambling debts. As the officers lead them away, Edward makes a final, desperate plea. The loan sharks will kill me if I don't pay. You're sending your own brother to his death. We are aware of your creditors, Mr. Winters. They are being investigated separately, Agent Morales says. Your financial struggles don't justify trafficking your sister's organs. Once they leave, my apartment feels unusually empty. 20 minutes later, Rachel arrives, having waited outside during the arrest. She embraces me tightly. It's over, she says. You did it. Not just me, I reply. I couldn't have done this alone. 2 hours later, I sit in a police interview room giving my formal statement. Detective Cooper records everything, while Dr. Vance sits nearby, occasionally clarifying medical details. The fluorescent lights cast a stark glow, but instead of feeling exposed, I feel protected. Based on your evidence and the communications with the so-called coordinator, we've identified him as Miguel Ferrero, a known organ broker active throughout Central America, Cooper explains. We've been trying to catch him for years. Will they get bail? I ask, my stomach tightening at the thought. No chance, Cooper says firmly. The judge denied bail. The interstate and international nature of these crimes makes them serious flight risks. Agent Morales enters with a tablet. We just got confirmation. Ferrero was caught at the airport trying to leave the country. Your case exposed his entire operation. Relief washes over me so strongly I have to grip the table. Were there others like me? 3 potential victims identified so far, Morales replies grimly. All were targeted through family members struggling financially. You didn't just save yourself, Greta. You prevented this from happening to others, Dr. Vance says, placing a hand on my shoulder. Your courage has uncovered a criminal network preying on vulnerable people for years. I shiver thinking about how close I came to believing I was saving my brother, only to risk losing a kidney. Or worse. The district attorney will want to meet with you tomorrow, Cooper adds. Your testimony is crucial. But for now, rest. 3 hours later, I leave the station to find Rachel waiting in her car. The sky has darkened to deep purple, street lights glowing along the avenue. I've set up the guest room, she says as I slide into the passenger seat. You shouldn't be alone tonight. Too exhausted to argue, I nod. Driving through quiet streets, I watch the houses pass, each window revealing a family, some loving, some not. The simplicity of this truth strikes me unexpectedly. What happens now? Rachel asks softly. I rebuild. I figure out what family truly means. I reply. No, you have a head start, she says, showing me her phone. Dr. Vance organized a support group for families affected by organ trafficking. She thinks you can help others navigate this experience. The idea settles in me like a seed finding soil. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel something more than relief or vindication. I feel purpose. I'd like that, I say, watching city lights blur through tears I didn't know I had shed. I'd like that very much, Rachel replies. As her car turns onto her street, I realize Cooper was right. My meticulous documentation, my refusal to overlook inconsistencies, qualities my family once dismissed, saved me. And now they could help others too. Tomorrow will bring statements, legal proceedings, restraining orders, and reporters. But tonight, I breathe, confident that both kidneys remain where they belong. I sit in the back row of the courtroom, watching the judge deny bail for Edward and my mother. 1 month after their arrest, the reality still feels surreal. Cooper sits beside me as the proceedings end. They won't hurt anyone else. The kidney trafficking network had 3 other potential victims. Your evidence saved them. Why? I whisper, throat tight. I almost lost my kidney, and maybe my life. Outside, a reporter approaches with a microphone. Local news has painted me as a whistleblower hero, though I never sought that label. Miss Reynolds, how does it feel knowing you exposed an international organ trafficking network? A month ago, I would have stammered, seeking approval. Now I meet her gaze directly. It feels like waking up, I reply. Like finally seeing clearly after years of fog. That evening, I unlock the door to my new apartment. The security system chimes softly, a feature I insisted on. The space is sparse, but mine. Safe. No one here can force me to give up pieces of myself, literally or figuratively. I unpack a box labeled kitchen, arranging mugs on an open shelf. My phone buzzes with a text from Dr. Vance. Conference committee approved your speaking slot for next month. Your perspective matters. I hadn't expected it. A medical ethics conference wants to hear me speak about patient vulnerability and exploitation. I place my hands flat on the cool countertop, grounding myself. The trembling that once overwhelmed me at the thought of my family has finally eased. That night, I sleep without nightmares for the first time since this ordeal began. In the morning, sunlight filters through newly hung curtains. I stand at the window watching the sunrise paint the sky with soft oranges and pinks. A new day. A new life. The family that raised me wasn't who I believed them to be. I whisper this to the empty room. The words no longer shatter me. 6 months later, I stand at a podium in front of an attentive audience. My prepared remarks rest before me, but I barely glance at them. The words flow effortlessly now. Organ trafficking thrives in the shadows of family obligation, I tell them. The greatest threats aren't strangers in dark alleys, but those who know exactly which emotional triggers to exploit. My voice is steady. The frightened woman who once sat surrounded by falsified medical documents in her parents' living room has become someone stronger, someone I barely recognize. After the presentation, a hospital administrator approaches. Would you consider volunteering with our legitimate kidney donor program? Survivors like you help potential donors understand both the risks and the rewards. The irony isn't lost on me. I nod in agreement. Back at Pearson Financial, Rachel grins as I place a small plaque on my desk. Senior Financial Analyst. The promotion comes with a raise and new responsibilities, including spotting financial red flags in potential fraud cases. Looks good there, she says, perching on the edge of my desk. Almost as good as you looked on that morning show last week? I laugh. That interview was terrifying. You couldn't tell. You looked like you'd been speaking publicly your whole life. My phone rings, the direct line I set up for the Organ Trafficking Awareness Network. Rachel squeezes my shoulder before slipping away, knowing these calls often need privacy. This is Greta, I answer. A nervous voice replies, My name is Karen. The hospital gave me your number. My cousin needs a kidney transplant, and my aunt is pressuring me to donate. Something feels wrong. Once such calls would leave me emotionally drained. Now I have systems in place, questions to ask, resources to offer, authorities to contact when necessary. I understand completely, I tell her, my words carrying the weight of lived experience. Let's walk through what's happening. 1 year later, I sit in a hospital consultation room beside a woman named Diane. Her hands twist anxiously in her lap as she explains her brother's sudden kidney failure and the family's insistence on traveling to Mexico for the procedure. They say I'm selfish for asking questions, she whispers, that I don't love my brother. I recognize the manipulation immediately. Real family protects you. They don't exploit you. Let's call Detective Cooper. He can verify if your brother's medical records are legitimate, I tell her. Later that afternoon, I speak before a small crowd at the launch of the Greta Reynolds Foundation. Dr. Vance beams from the front row as I outline our mission. Educate about organ trafficking warning signs, support potential victims, and advocate for stronger protective legislation. A year ago, I nearly became a victim, I share. Today, we've helped identify 12 potential trafficking victims and provided them with resources to protect themselves. The audience applauds as I announce partnerships with 3 major hospital systems to implement screening protocols. A proposed bill incorporating lessons from my case now moves through legislative committees. After the ceremony, Dr. Vance approaches with a glass of sparkling water. From patient advocate to human rights champion, you've created something remarkable here, she says. I think about the phone call I received that morning. Another woman, another manipulative family, another life potentially saved. Sometimes the most loving thing is recognizing when someone doesn't love you back. I watch attendees mingle around displays explaining trafficking warning signs, and then use that knowledge to protect others. As I drive home, I pass the exit that leads to my parents' house. I no longer feel the pull to turn there, no longer question my decision to testify against them. The guilt that once wrapped around my chest like steel bands has dissolved. In its place, purpose, clarity, and finally peace.